Good evening and welcome to our Smyrna Town Council workshop to set our agenda for our March meeting. Before we move into items for discussion, we were supposed to have someone from the library, Cassandra Taylor, but I don't see Cassandra yet. So if she comes in a little later, then we'll let her do her presentation. But we will move into items for discussion. Amber, anything under public comment tonight? Okay, and we also need to do our pledge and our prayer. Our prayer tonight's going to be done by Mark Adkins, and we have a special guest tonight that's going to do our pledge. Aurora Oates is here tonight. So, Mark, if you'll start then with our prayer, please.
We bow. Father in heaven, Lord, we just come to you today. We thank you for this beautiful weather we've been experiencing the last few days, Father. What a blessing. Father, as we do the town's business tonight, we also ask favor and blessings from you, that we do our discernment, we do things the right way as our citizens would expect. Father, we also pray for every citizen of our town. Father, just continue to watch over Smyrna, continue to bless those who serve and protect it, and all the employees that do the work to keep it going. Go with us now. We ask these things in your precious name. Amen.
Aurora, if you'll lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, Aurora, if you'll come up front, and I'm going to come around. Mr. Jerry, since you brought Aurora to us, I'm going to let you read a few things about her, if you don't mind.
You want me down there?
Sure. Come on.
All right. Well, Aurora Oates, and she goes by Aurora, is that correct? All right, she goes to McFadden School of Excellence, and she's in the 4th grade. She is serves in the choir, is that correct? And I understand you just got a heart for people. You just like to help people, is that correct? Oh, that's fantastic. Well, we appreciate you coming. Likes animals, especially dogs, and enjoys playing outside and doing new things, and she's currently taking an interest in civics and government and seeks to be a change agent for the good and finding ways to serve others. And we're so glad to have you.
Thank you so much for being with us. We have a certificate and a pen for you, so I want to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit maybe about the teacher whose classroom you're in. And I know Mr. Jerry said that you go to McFadden, but tell us a little bit about your teacher.
So my teacher's name is Miss Gillespie, and she teaches ELA, like she's my homeroom, and she's like really understanding.
Very good. So you really like her? Okay. So do you have other teachers as well? Okay. So who are your other teachers?
Miss Clancy and Miss Haley.
And Miss Haley. So do you like McFadden? McFadden's a tough school, because it's a magnet school. So, well, we are so glad that you came tonight, and we have a key to the city pin for you. And then, no, Mr. Jerry only has keys to the bathrooms around town. That's it. That's it.
She's not joking.
No, I'm not joking. I'm telling the truth. So we'll get Miss Heather to get a picture of us. Mr. Jerry, will you? Okay, look at Mom. Let Mom get one. Okay, there you go. Thank you so much. You all are more than welcome to stay if you'd like to stay, but you don't have to if you don't want to, so whichever you'd like to do. So we'll move now into our items for discussion. Our first item is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute contract supplement 1 with TDOT relative to the Washington Street at CSX approach upgrades construction cost.
Mayor and Council, this contract supplement is with TDOT. It's for the 100% share of the overage on the construction costs. The original contract was done back in 2021, and like I said, we just received bids here in the last couple of months for the project. So this is coming out of the Rail Highway Crossing Section 130 Federal Highway Fund, so TDOT will cover this overage.
Okay. Questions for Charles on this? Okay.
And kind of give you an update on the project, it has started. They started this week. They're in the roundabout area. And once we finish there, and we're working out scheduling with CSX to come in, and we'll have to close the rail crossing for about 20 days to allow our contractor and CSX to do the sidewalk track work on the project.
Okay,
So it'll be closed how much longer?
Well, today was just a lane closure, just one day. It's back open at 3:30, so it'll be open, but when we go in to do the track work with CSX and be doing the sidewalk work on each side, we'll need to close it for 20 days to get in, and that'll save us a month construction time.
Charles, you don't know about the estimated time when that closing will take place yet, do you?
Not yet, because I had it scheduled for last week, but then CSX couldn't schedule their flagger or construction crew, so they have put that off, so that's kind of thrown our schedule off, but the contractor went on and started on the roundabout portion to get that going, just to keep the project moving.
Could weather at all delay that 20 days?
It could, it's not that much excavation work
Okay.
there to do. What they've done today, like I said, after this, just doing the sidewalk work, and then CSX will do between the track work, and then it's just mill and pave it. So we're looking at a July 28th completion date for the total completion of the project.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anything you can do to make Enon Springs and McNichol flow better? I mean, I just.
Yeah,
shoot
we
in the
did
dark
that
'cause I don't have
today.
any
Jonathan,
idea.
in our traffic operations, he turned the left turn signal off, and he turned that phasing off to move traffic. And then he also adjusted the Enon Springs traffic signal. He added more time to the left turn there. So he can change the timing on the other signals to help traffic move around when he detours. So he did that today just on the lane closure.
Run even going, go all the way down to Mason Tucker and such as that to use the San Ridley Parkway?
Yeah, he can look at those. He has those online, so he can make those adjustments to the traffic signals there as he sees backups on that.
When will you start putting notification out for those 20 days? Like, will you do like a week
When
or
I
3
get the new
days, or-
schedule, I haven't gotten the new schedule from the contractor yet, because they're working out their timing with CSX at the,
Right.
they say, we gotta know when you're ready, and that's when they will go.
But
So,
how much time in advance? Will it be like 3 days or 5 days?
we
or a
should at
week?
least have a week or 2
Okay.
weeks. As soon as find out, it'll at least have to be a week before we start putting out the notification. And we'll have some message boards up from the contractor we'll put up when that closure comes in.
Okay.
other questions? Okay, we'll move on to item 3, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute the proposal with Hayworth Meyer Boland Professional Engineers LLC for design services for the slab bridge extension at Rock Springs Road over Harts Branch.
All right, this project is for design of the slab bridge extension. This is down between Nancy's Place and Needham. This is part of Tom's sidewalk project, and doing the same thing as we did on the Rock Springs Bridge up near Imperial Boulevard, adding a sidewalk to it. So just getting out ahead to get the bridge widened with the sidewalk on it for his sidewalk project.
Okay? Questions on this?
Just, I think I sent in a question to Dave about referencing the contract, Hammerville Road.
Yeah,
in
that
more
was just
detail. Yeah,
oversight on my
right.
part. I missed that. That's what templates get you in trouble.
Cut and paste, yeah.
So, but yeah, that'd be taken care of, and that's,
Thanks.
is a out of scope thing, so all that
Sure.
work is this boilerplate
Right.
thing they put in, so, but that will be taken care of.
Other questions or comments? Okay, then we'll move on to item 4, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute the scope and fee proposal with Energy Land and Infrastructure for the Rock Springs Road Improvements Project.
All right, this project is for the roadway improvements on Rock Springs Road. This will be from the Mabel Farms Development out past Cook's Lane, and it will also, and this will be 11-foot roadway lanes, just keeping it 2-lane, and we'll do 2 to 4 foot wide shoulders, and then we'll put in a left turn lane from Rock Springs onto Cook's Lane. And this is the one that council asked me to go ahead and get under design so we could possibly get with the current homeowner there where we're gonna have to straighten out the S-curve, that he's willing to sell property there in lieu of trying to get a mowable slope on his property. So that's why we're getting ahead of this now, to get out there and at least get the right-of-way on this design.
And that was the neighbor across the street?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's gonna be the one place we definitely would
Yeah,
have
for
to
that curve.
have a right-of-way take, is straightening out that curve there.
Okay, questions on this?
Yeah, Mayor, I have a question. Is this work being done because of Maybell Farms, the development and the impact? And are impact fees being used to
It will
cover
be,
this? Or is
it
this
is,
a town
because
cost?
Mabel Farms, the developer there, they're gonna build from Walden Road. They'll extend that 3-lane section there up to their site. And after they pass their site entrance, it'll go back down to a 2-lane road with sidewalk on their side to their property line. And that's where this project picks up, just to finish this out.
Which is the town's project?
Right, that'll
Okay.
be ours, just to finish that segment out. And currently, we're just gonna do the 2 lanes with shoulders. If that property ever develops, then the developer will add the sidewalk to it.
Do you have any idea what our portion might be yet?
No,
Or you
sir, I
gotta
don't.
wait for design?
Right.
Yeah. All right, thanks.
Well, and also, Jerome, kind of to tag on to that, I don't think that that was done just because of Mabel Farms. I think we were looking at improving that road out there anyway. But because Mabel Farms was carrying it on to the end of their project, we wanted to carry it on to Cook's Lane, because Cook's Lane was coming. And rather than leaving from Cook's Lane to where Mabel Farms ended, the council wanted to go ahead and address that area that are right there in front
Yeah,
of those
it's
homes.
just speed
That
up the
whole
timeline.
area, due to development, needs, you
Right,
know,
well, it's like Cook's
Cook's
Lane, I
Lane's
thought
gonna
I
be the
was
next one.
out ahead of it,
Lee
because I
Road,
knew
yeah.
we're gonna have to do the horizontal vertical curve up there.
Yeah.
So we had started that project prior to Cook's Lane or Mabel Farms even coming up, but then and then we're working with the developer now, so our road design matches their entrance. So we have coordinated that, and so that section that we'll try to build first there from their development out to Lee Road, that'll be our first construction,
Right.
but we have coordinated with
right,
them.
right.
And
Okay,
that section of the road's been needing to be fixed.
Well, that's
Forever,
what, like I
forever.
said, I thought, like I said, Jerome, like I said, you usually say, I was trying to get out ahead of it, but they caught up with me. They gave me a little bit of headway, but not much.
Right.
Okay, we'll move on to item 5, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute the contract with Wiregrass Construction for the milling and resurfacing with sidewalk repairs on Enon Springs Road Improvements Project.
Right, this project consists of works, existing sidewalks, bringing those up to ADA standards, and also the milling and resurfacing of 2.437 miles, because it's going to run from Florence Road all the way down to Ridley Street. In the section of between Florence and Nissan, we're going to put an extra half-inch of base in that, just to give it a little higher strength on that section, since it's a heavy truck route there.
Okay. Questions on this one?
Have we used Wiregrass Construction before?
No, we haven't, but they're the contractor on Jefferson Pike, and they're also the contractor that did Sam Reilly and Nissan, the intersections where they took out the concrete and came back and put in asphalt. And they have an office here on Needham Drive, so they are local now.
Other questions? Okay, we'll move on to item 6, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a project time extension with TDOT on the Florence Road sidewalk project.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, Council. Currently,
How long have we been talking about this one?
A couple of months, I think. I can't remember exactly. I'll go back that
Since
far.
before you were here?
No, I think it started like I think Kevin started this one. Who happens to not be
so
here
we're now
today.
throwing
Here
Kevin
comes
under the bus since
Kevin,
he's not
so,
here.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But currently, we are in right-of-way acquisition phase. We've done the appraisal, the review appraisal. We sent that to TDOT. Once they approve it, we'll get the negotiators out there to meet with the 4 property owners, acquire the right-of-way. And once it gets recorded at the county, then we'll be able to submit to TDOT to request for, to go to notice to proceed to construction phase. I'm not sure how long they're going to take before they give us that. Sometimes it's quick, sometimes it can be several months, and then at that point, we'll be in construction phase and ready to go. I did get with, just to give you a little update on it, I did get with the engineering firm Thomas and Hutton. They gave me a revised engineering cost estimate. I've sent that because it's more than what we have currently. This has been quite a while. So trying to go ahead and get some additional monies lined up before we get to that notice to proceed to construction. So we've got everything lined up and ready to go.
Well, and we kind of laugh and joke about this project, but it has been a really frustrating project. It was a grant project, and it was one of those that got caught during COVID, and I mean, it has just, every issue that I think could happen has happened with
Yes.
this project, so,
The language of agreement 190346 dated December 3rd, 2019.
yeah,
Sweet.
so, a little while.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Yeah. But that's why we always talk sometimes about, we have to make sure that the grants are worth the money that we're getting to be able to get a project, because we could have had this one done significantly sooner, but we are getting money from the state, so. Okay, and maybe we can have some discussion with them about how long it's taken, and maybe the process of getting it through now will be a little faster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mayor, if I could.
Sure.
I had someone contact me about striping out there, and I didn't get the exact location, but they were telling me that trucks were running off the edge or making the radius or something, and due to traffic markings being faded, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can look at that.
I don't know exactly what location it was.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, do you have contact information for them, so maybe they could you forward that to Tom
yeah,
if you still
yeah,
got it?
yeah,
That'd be great,
yeah.
that way maybe we can get an exact location.
Got to figure out if it's
Where it is.
email, text, or message.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, item 7 is approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with Essential Epoxy Coating to apply epoxy to the vehicle maintenance shop floors.
Yes, we received 3 bids on recoating, putting epoxy down on the vehicle maintenance shop floor. The lowest bidder came in as Essential Epoxy Coating at $16,895. This is just a contract with them to be able to do that work.
Questions on the epoxy flooring?
Yeah, one question,
Sure.
sorry.
You're good.
Those seem like the bids came in a widespread,
Yes.
16 or 17 to 47,000. And I personally know what epoxy floor coatings cost. It's about $5 a square foot. So I think Dave said we might be doing the prep work for that.
Yeah, we're
And-
doing all the prep work, cleaning up, moving everything out of the way for
Okay,
them.
well, I mean, as far as the, preparing the concrete for the coating.
Etching.
Yeah, the etching.
I know that we are cleaning it ahead of time. I'm not sure if we're gonna do
Okay.
etching or he's gonna be doing the etching on it.
I would just verify these
Okay.
guys' work. That seems awful.
Is it low?
Low, very low.
Okay.
$5 a square foot at 8,400 is right at what?
Yeah, I know he went ahead and, I think in the quote, it shows that, the material was $12,000
Yeah, but.
for that.
Right. But I didn't see a lot of paperwork on his submittal about the product.
Right.
The prep work and all that.
Okay.
Just, thanks.
All right, we
Yeah.
can do it.
Other comments or questions?
8,200 square feet, is that what it is?
80,
That sounds about right.
oh,
I didn't,
There we go.
yeah.
Okay.
200, yeah.
Okay. We'll move on to item 8, which is approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute a rental agreement with the Science Center for the Treehouse exhibit at the Smyrna Outdoor Adventure Center. Mike?
Mayor, council, thank you. This is another rental we'll be switching out for the fall. It's the Treehouse exhibit for the fall of 2025 season, and it's through the Science Center. We use them a lot. And the exhibit will focus on the role of trees, providing habitat, their products, and the environment, and it targets families and students. Obviously, we use this for field trips, parties, and things like that. It will be on site from mid-September to early January. The cost of the exhibit is $25,000 plus shipping. This will be the third sponsorship for Jennings and Rebecca Jones Foundation, which gave us $20,000 for 3
Which
years.
foundation, Micah?
Jennings and Rebecca Jones. And also, recently, last week, we found out Middle Tennessee Electric is sponsoring again for exhibits this year too, at the rate of $5,000. We just asked for approval of this exhibit.
Questions for Mike on the exhibit? Mike, you may want to talk to Tim and Mark. I know they have a special place in their heart for tree houses since that's where they first met and fought, right?
We settled our differences.
Well, if you need them, they'll be there for you. So we'd love to have you down.
I may need a stress reliever to come over here and
That's right.
do this.
Yes, sir.
So item 9
Thank you.
is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with Civic Plus relative to agenda management, open record management, and 311 CRM customer relationship management software for the town. Amber, are you taking this?
Yes, ma'am. So here recently, in the past few months, the town manager and I have been meeting in various meetings to talk about ways that we can operate more efficiently with some of our processes and also optimize, residents' experience and the way that they communicate with us and the way that some of these things are handled and logged internally and externally. There's 3 different softwares here underneath this Civic Plus bundle that have proved to be beneficial to different processes and operations within the town. The first one is NextRequest. That one is an open records management software, which I think that, each year we talk within the budget retreat in April about open records and kind of the increase and influx of those as the years, kind of year over year. So now that those are continuing to increase steadily, we are looking at open records management software to kind of streamline that process. We don't have anything in place right now. It's more of a manual and piecemeal process that is all done by hand. And I think this will just decrease some of the touches on the request, improve processes and response time, and I think it will be very beneficial for our open records management process.
Can you talk a little bit real quick about that? Like, when you get one in, what does that process currently look like?
Sure. So currently, we accept them in different forms, whether it's, via email, fax, telephone, somebody walks in to the lobby, or we actually have a form that's built on our website right now. When those come through, however they're received, they're routed to me. I then take those and I determine which department it's relative to. It may touch multiple departments within one request. I then forward that email to whichever director or department that it is relative to and ask them to start gathering any responsive documents to that request. Once they have gathered any responsive documents, they send that back to me. I then go through it to make sure, A, that there's no exceptions to the Open Records Act that, would keep us from releasing that information. If there's any redaction that needs to be done, I redact personal information out of that. Once it's all complete, redacted, I then create a Google Drive folder, log it all on a spreadsheet, drop that all into a Google Drive folder, send the response back out to the requester via email, and then save that response PDF and go back into the Google Drive and drop it. So this would be more of a central location where all of this would be done within this software, and it archives it properly. I can set retentions on it. It's got reporting features in there, and it's got automatic, it automatically notifies each one of the departments whenever that request comes in. So you can see where it's more beneficial.
Well, and I'm assuming some requests could be one page, but some could be hundreds of pages that you're having to physically go through to redact and do all that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
The next one, any other questions about the open records management
No.
software? No? Okay. The next one under the Civic Plus bundle would be Agenda Management Pro. It's Civic Plus's form of an agenda management, kind of like we use Agenda Quick right now. I'm asking to bundle this software in with the Civic Plus suite and in replacement of the Agenda Quick software. We haven't always had Agenda Quick software. It started a few years before I took the clerk role. And I think this was a great step from not having anything to stepping into an electronic platform. I just think that what Civic Plus offers as part of their suite is much more robust. I think that it'll be much more user-friendly for both you guys on the council side to, instead of having to pull these out and send them to you via Google Drive, that you guys will actually be able to access and make notes and utilize this software. And also, it will integrate with our website, so we will be able to be more transparent on the public-facing side of it, and they'll be able to follow along better with some of the documents that are coming before you in a council packet.
Okay.
The last one is called C-Click Fix. It's more of a 311 CRM. It comes with a branded app that will be specific to Smyrna, and it is for it's to consolidate channels that community members use to submit requests, inquiries, and feedback. It allows internal workflows to be created to route requests for rapid response and historical reference. There's the ability to geotag photos and make service requests. So if somebody's out in the community and they see a pothole and they want to snap a picture of it right there and submit a work order or a request for it to be rectified, then they can do that right where they're at. And it also has a public-facing map where they can follow along with, let's say Councilwoman Peebles sees a pothole and submits a request, and then Councilman Cole wants to go and do the same thing. Well, he will be able to see where Councilwoman Peebles has already submitted that request and where it's at in the process, and even once it's been rectified. So I think we get a lot of, right now, we have a tool on our website. It's another form that's a citizen comment form. But currently, we're receiving those and we're routing them and taking care of them through the departments, but there's no tracking system for it, and there's no public-facing side. So I think that this would take care of some of that and just be more user-friendly for our residents and both internally.
Okay. Questions for Amber?
I'm sure Dave will be glad, especially from me, if that's implemented. Yeah, but the third item, I think, is going to be very, very useful, because we get so much being sent to us, then we send it to Dave, and there's step after step. If it can just go directly from a citizen to that, then I think it'll expedite things.
Yeah, I think I've used this in the past, and honestly, y'all's support on this is really crucial to try to get folks used to it, because the best part about it is they can do it themselves, but they can also keep track of where that request is along the way and when it gets complete. And that's something that's very difficult when you got a manual process like we have.
Right.
So one of the things I think that's most frustrating for citizens is the codes process. If it's having to go to court and that sort of thing, will it keep up so they can see that codes has made contact with the homeowner or whatever, and that it's in that process before a court date's set and that sort of thing? Do you know how detailed it gets?
You want me to?
So it's not a code software,
Okay.
but somebody could submit a code complaint through it, and then
Okay.
we're gonna put that over to code. So you'd get a response saying that
It's
we
gone to codes.
received your complaint, and we are, going into code. So that's one piece of it that I've never been able to kind of crack that code. It's not a codes violation management system.
Okay,
For building property. For property,
Okay.
yeah.
okay.
Is this a budgeted item or is it an additional?
This is an additional item.
Coming off of this year's budget?
Correct, but we are planning to budget for it for next year.
Okay.
Other questions?
Yes, ma'am. Will the Agenda Pro be able to number our bookmarks?
I can request that through implementation.
Okay.
That's a good question, actually.
I will be working with them hands-on through this whole process to implement this and really get it the way that we want to see it. So I'm happy to incorporate any suggestions that you guys would like to see to make it easier for you to navigate through this, and we'll try,
It
to
just
get
makes
it.
it so much easier when the bookmark is numbered the same as the agenda item, and we can move more quickly back and forth.
It's on an Adobe platform.
That's nice.
He doesn't understand that. He doesn't understand
We're
So
all
will there
leaving our
be,
computers
like,
with you tonight.
a work session?
Yeah,
Cobalt.
so we'll
Training.
need to operate in both systems for a meeting or two to not only test, but to get feedback from you all and make adjustments from there.
So there will be training?
There will be training.
Okay.
You may have said this while I was reading, just a quick question. If somebody applies a repair, a pothole or whatever, are they communicated back with when it's done? Okay.
And it'll also update that, there are certain things that will show on that front-facing kind of GIS mapping. It'll show like a cone, or, there will be some kind of symbol where work orders are in progress or have been reported or
Like a
completed.
Waze software or something like that, the cop sitting there.
The only thing, like Town Manager Santucci said, was that it does not show, it's not going to show you on the map where all of the codes violations are currently being worked.
Okay. Okay, item 10, was there another question? No, okay. Item 10 is consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of tax map 50, parcel 14.07 from C2 to I1, requested by Caravan Ventures. The property requested to be rezoned contains 3.57 acres, is located on Tridon Drive, and this is a second reading. Hey, Mitch.
Mayor and Council. This property, as it says, located on Trident Drive, is about 250 feet northwest of the intersection with Safari Drive and Trident Drive. To the rear of the property, it's bordered by the I-24 right-of-way and the exit ramp onto Allenville Road. The land use plan for this area is the 24 Gateway Character Area, which would support a mixture of uses, both local and regional in scale. Included in this would be hospitality, retail, restaurant, and multifamily uses, which would be particularly appropriate for this area. Surrounding zoning is C2. Planning Commission did recommend approval for 7-4, 0 against. Staff would recommend approval as well, and there have been no changes on this since you saw it last.
Questions for Mitch on this?
The only question I have, Mitch, is when the site plan comes in, we had talked about that buffer, Mayor and Mark, along
Yeah.
the off-ramp there.
Yeah,
Maybe look at that when the site plan comes in.
certainly.
It's a parcel
Oh,
right next to it.
forgot you two guys are on there. Should be talking to you guys.
There you go.
Yeah.
What is that parcel right next to it there?
To the south?
Oh, sorry.
Which one?
The one just below it.
that. The little sliver.
The little sliver is Range USA. It was indoor shooting range. They have had plans approved, but have not started construction yet.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll put that on the agenda. Item 11 through 25 has to do with our boards and committees. And just so citizens know, we appoint our boards and committees every March, and citizens can apply for these boards and committees. And some boards will have multiple people apply, and some boards we may not have any. So what we try to do is we try to make sure that we have people in as many spots as we can. So sometimes we'll even call citizens and ask them if they're willing to apply for multiple boards. In case we can't get them on one, we might be able to get them on another. We also try to only have a citizen serving on one board and not multiple boards, so that it gives others opportunities. So I do want to read what boards we're going to have openings on, if you'll bear with me. And if you are still interested in serving on a board, you still can put forth an application. Okay, item 11, consideration of the appointment of 2 members to the Beer Board to serve a 3-year term ending in 2028. Item 12, consideration of an appointment of 3 members to the Planning Commission to serve a 2-year term ending in 2027. Item 13, consideration of the appointment of 2 members to the Board of Zoning Appeals to serve a 3-year term ending in 2028. Item 14, consideration of the appointment of 1 member to the Historic Zoning Commission to serve a 5-year term ending in 2030. Item 15 is consideration of the appointment of 1 member to the Municipal Industrial Development Board to serve an unexpired term ending in 2030, and 2 members to serve a 6-year term ending in 2031. Item 16 is consideration of the appointment of 2 members to the Project Assistance Board to serve a 3-year term ending in 2028. Item 17 is consideration of an appointment of 3 members to the Sister City Committee to serve a 3-year term ending in 2028. Item 18 is consideration of the appointment of 4 citizen members and 1 non-voting county representative to the Parks Advisory Board to serve a 3-year term ending in 2028. Item 19 is consideration of an appointment of 1 member to the Packaged Liquor Board to serve a 3-year term ending in 2028. Item 20 is consideration of the appointment of 1 member to the Smyrna Housing Authority to serve a 5-year term ending in 2030. Item 21 is consideration of the appointment of 4 members to the Stormwater Advisory Committee to serve a 3-year term ending in 2028. Item 22 is consideration of the appointment of 2 citizen members to the Smyrna Charity Assistance to serve a 3-year term ending in 2028, and 1 council representative to serve a 1-year term ending in 2026. Item 23 is consideration of the appointment of 3 members to the Captain Jeff Coos USMC Memorial Funding Subcommittee to serve a 3-year term ending in 2028. Item 24 is consideration of the appointment of 1 representative to the Smyrna Rutherford County Airport Authority to serve a 5-year term ending in 2030. And item 25 is consideration of the appointment of 2 members of the Board of Adjustments and Appeals to serve a 3-year term ending in 2028. So those will be the boards in which we will be appointing citizens to these committees. We appreciate everybody that applies, and we try to get individuals appointed to as many boards as possible. So, item 26 is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a proposal with Imagine That Performance related to Phase 2 of the Vision Sync initiative. Dave?
Thank you. Currently, we're in phase 1 of this project. However, if we move on to phase 2, it would trigger a council approval above my authority. And what this really is something that I talked to the council about early on when I got here, is aligning the vision of the council with the implementation of policy with staff. And through that, through this initiative, my goal is to hopefully get that shared vision of the council so that we can move forward as a leadership team on staff with carrying out those goals and objectives, with the end result, not necessarily a part of this process yet, but further on down the road, developing a long-range strategic plan. And what a strategic plan is it's different from your comprehensive plan, which kind of lays out land uses and what we need to do in terms of water. This is more about the strategy of how we want to, what is important to us, and how are we going to go about aligning that strategy, that mission, that vision, those goals and objectives with what we do as an organization from the inside and out. So things like making sure that we have clear, defined values as an organization that we live by, that we look at when we're recruiting, when we're moving people into supervisory positions. Also, how are we ensuring that the budgetary goals and objectives are aligned with the long-term strategic plan? So all those types of initiatives are really my vision of bringing us to the next level of a town staff. And so there are some shared responsibilities within this initiative, and I think the council has already begun on some of those, and I do appreciate all of your support on that. I have had discussions with staff about this initiative, and for the most part, unless they're just appeasing me, they do seem pretty excited about it. So we will be doing some events here coming up shortly where we'll get to know each other and work on our leadership development strategies and some initiatives there as well. I'm happy to address any questions that you may have.
Questions for Dave on this?
Dave, the only question I've got is the proposal that's in our packet seems to include I guess, help me understand. is the amount that's in here, the 19,000, that's just for for the second piece of this? Or does that include the first piece?
The total is the 19,000. I gotta see what you have, because, so the first part, or section 1 is 9,000. Your part, correct, phase 2 is the 19,000.
Gotcha, okay. Yeah, it's talking about one session per elected official in this phase. So I guess that's in addition to what we've already been doing.
Correct.
Gotcha, okay.
And they'll be coming on site, 1, 2, they'll be on site for 3 days in total.
Yeah, so we can discuss it offline, but we just need to be, I'll probably need some help with that scheduling.
Okay.
That on-site, though, is not, it's not for us as council, right? Is that not more for staff?
So one of them is, well, a couple of them are for staff. The way this is gonna work is actually March 6th, they'll be coming on site. We'll be doing some leadership development training, working on communication styles, how to communicate in difficult conversations and those sorts of things. Then once they complete the exercises with you all, they'll be presenting kind of that shared response and the results of what you all do at the beginning of the budget retreat. That'll be one portion of the budget retreat that I'd like to add. So that will kind of guide, hopefully, the budget discussions as we move forward throughout that day. And then the following day, they're going to be working with staff. We've got I believe a half-day exercise where they'll be taking all of that information that we get in the budget retreat, all the information from council and the public as well. And we're going to look at how do we take that and put that into our long-term strategic plan and our budget moving forward. How do we develop those ideas into the strategy?
So March 6th is for us.
No, that's for us.
Okay, so the only thing for us is at our budget retreat. So there's nothing.
Nothing additional other than-
additional that
Nope.
we, does that help, Steve?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. Okay,
No, I don't want to take up any more of y'all's valuable time.
okay, got it. Any other questions? Okay, I will say the portion that I did was kind of scary, how accurate it was. I don't know about y'all's.
Oh, yeah.
I was a little surprised, so.
Yeah.
Okay, item 27, approval of the revised classification and compensation plan for town employees.
Okay. I'm also going to take this one, and I'll just have Mr. Craig as my wingman on this one if there's any technical questions that the council may have. Coming on board, even before my start date, meeting with and having conversations with the council and the department directors, it became clear that we were having an issue with recruitment and retention, specifically in public safety. By the time I got here, Mr. Craig had already started to review some comparative market analysis data on the labor market as it relates to public safety positions. And the conversation really led to, well, what is our current compensation strategy? And there's nothing wrong with the compensation strategy that's in place today, which asks, for us as an organization to be in the top tier of the local government market across Tennessee. But, in kind of brainstorming, how is that affecting us from a recruitment and retention standpoint, we had to come to the realization that Middle Tennessee is just a different animal than the entire state, looking at the entire state. And so I asked Mr. Craig to take a look at what do we look like in terms of our local competition. So we can go ahead and start the presentation, and we'll get into what we did. In the meantime, I will tell you that I really appreciate what Mr. Craig did. He put a lot of effort into this. It was easy to just look at the public safety positions. If we can go back on the slides, please. it was easy to go back on the public safety, just look at the public safety positions. They're easy. It's policeman, lieutenant, captain. But when you start getting into all of the positions of general employees, that's where it takes a lot of time. And this was not something that we planned for. So, throughout this presentation, I'll probably address a lot of the comments I've heard that are buzzing out there from the workforce, which is this will never come and what's taking so long? Well, yeah, I could have come to you with the public safety side of this, but if we're gonna do this just for the public safety positions, we felt that it was important to look at the organization as a whole and move that forward. And that is what took, what may be perceived as a long time. But here we are, 5 months into my tenure, and this is complete. And I want to again thank HR for getting all that done. So the current compensation strategy, as I mentioned, we look at, let's be in the top tier of all of Tennessee. But what we're proposing is that we look at being in the top tier of Middle Tennessee, the Middle Tennessee region specifically. Not the highest paid organization, not the lowest paid organization, but let's be competitive at the top of Middle Tennessee. And why? As I mentioned, Middle Tennessee continues to grow rapidly, and the wages in this particular section, or sector, are increasing, and they have been increasing through, I would say, for the past 5 years. As I mentioned, we've continually struggled with some of our public safety positions to find qualified candidates and retain those qualified candidates. Typically, when we get past the first 3 to 5 years, we don't have a problem. But with this labor market, you're seeing more and more people moving away for the immediate dollar. And that kind of speaks to another thing that we've discussed, which is, some people are just more interested in the salary that they're getting today rather than the benefits package that comes along with employment with a particular employer. And that's just the situation that we're in today. And again, our current philosophy, as I'm going to show you on the next slide, if you look at this updated proposed strategy, we do fall behind when it comes to looking at us just from Middle Tennessee. So if you just look at the 10 cities that we looked at that are either comparative to us or our neighbors, those being at the bottom, Murfreesboro, Brentwood, Franklin, Lebanon, Metro, Hendersonville, Mount Juliet, Laverne, Spring Hill, and Gallatin. If we just look at that, that's where we ended up. We ended up being around the 50th, between the 50th and the 60th percentile for those various positions in police, fire, non-public safety, and director level staff. So as an example, just looking at a few of the positions, common positions out there, we were 7 cities were paying higher on an accountant position. Firefighters, it was 5. The IT director, it was 7. Police officers, 8 cities. And that's certainly, I don't think, what this council has wanted to see. And so, again, this change in philosophy would help get us back to that top tier.
Dave, let me ask you a question right there.
Yes, sir.
When you're, the examples in the bottom there, are those out of the 10 or out of the state?
Those are out of the 10.
Okay.
Those are out of the 10. Next slide, please. All right, so what are our recommendations? Our recommendation is to adjust the pay philosophy so that we only try to be in the top tier of Middle Tennessee, which is our local labor market competition, rather than the entire state. We're also making a recommendation to adopt a revised pay and classification plan that would provide with the following outcomes. 1, it will adjust various grades of positions and the pay ranges of the grades to reflect the current local labor market. By doing so, there are obviously people in those positions, and this is very important to recognize. The goal of this is to move people in those positions, particularly and specifically their salaries, along with the changes, recommendations that we're making with the grade and pay range adjustments. This is a market adjustment that only looks at the position and the grade in comparison to the local labor market. It doesn't look at other factors like performance or tenure or any of those. It's taking you where you are today and moving you into the pay range or the grade that is being adjusted. That's it.
Let me ask another question.
Yes.
Sorry, I'll forget it if you get to the.
That's fine. Just stop me anytime.
When you're making these comparisons such as these right here, are we looking at just the government end of it, or are we looking at the private sector also?
For the most part, we're looking at government sector, but there are some positions that are hard to analyze just by the government sector.
Right.
IT positions, as an example. We have an event center that's kind of an anomaly. So we look at those things as well when we did this comparative analysis. So yeah, this is not a pay per performance application. This is strictly making market adjustments to the pay and classification system and the people within. So the other thing that this will do is we will remove police and fire from the pay plan and create two separate pay plans. And this will allow us to be a little bit more flexible in the future. I don't want you to think that that is an exercise to ensure that we're in an arms race on these positions. I don't think that's a position that I would recommend us being in. We want to remain competitive, but we also want to be flexible, and that's the reason why we're making this recommendation. Before we get into the costs and the implementation plan, one of the things that we want to do is, I want to recognize that was a little note on the other slide. Thank you for that. The minimum increase that any employee would receive if this is adopted is 3%, okay? So even if your position was perfectly aligned with the local market and it said, hey, you're being paid fairly, we're moving everybody up at least 3%. And when I go through the implementation plan, I'll tell you why.
All right, I'm sorry, I got another one.
Sure.
In looking at the comparisons between the other cities, does it take into account total benefits package? So our benefits package, which we all know is superior to most, doesn't actually, it's not actually weighted with it.
Okay, that's fair.
And that's why it's like I said, this looked at being at the top tier, but not the best, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we can go to the next slide, thank you. So what are the cost implications? And when we look at these costs, this is an annual cost, okay? So the total impact to the budget is $3.4 million. For general employees, that equates to 1.7 million, excuse me. For police, 1 million, and fire, 630,000. I think that's an indication that we were further behind in some positions than we were others. And what's the impact in terms of fund on the general fund? That's a 2.9, well, we'll just call it $3 million impact to the general fund, 424 million for the enterprise funds. That's an annual. Did I say something different?
424,000. You said
Yeah,
million.
you are right. I
said
am wrong.
million.
424,000, yes, on the enterprise funds. Implementation. Our recommendation, rather than waiting until July 1st to implement this, as we typically do our market adjustments along with the budget, my recommendation would to push that forward and make those adjustments effective with the first pay cycle of March. If this moves forward, we will, Jeff will be having, he'll be having meetings with each director to show them the results as it relates specifically to their department and the department employees. This would then go on to the the March 11th agenda for your consideration. If passed, I will hold a town hall meeting on the next day in the morning, and I will explain virtually what I'm explaining to you all right now. I'm not going to say, Joe, you're getting this, and Mary, you're getting this. That's not what, that wouldn't be productive or appropriate. But I do want to make sure that all employees get the chance to hear from me exactly what we're doing and why we are doing it. I think that's really important. And then, of course, on the same day, HR will be distributing individual letters to each employee with the details as it applies to them specifically. And as I mentioned, this, if this was approved on the 11th, we would retro this to the first pay period of March, and that paycheck would come on March 21st. That might be the last slide, I think it is.
Couple of
Yeah.
questions. So up until we've changed the way in which we're looking at this, of just looking at Middle Tennessee, when we were looking at what our area was before, we were staying within the 70th percentile. Correct? Yeah. Okay. So in changing this, we found that we'll be better off in hopefully retaining those employees. How many pay raises have we given over the last, do you have that data?
Yes, I do. So if you're not looking at merit pay that people have gotten, you're just looking at market adjustments that we've done. We've done a market adjustment almost every single year. If you go all the way back to 2018, we did a 1% in addition to merit. In 2019, we did a 1.5%. In 20, we did a 1.5%. In 21, we did 1.75% in addition to merit. And then we did a special adjustment in March of 2022, which you guys probably remember. That was an 8% adjustment. And then in December of that same year, we did a 4.5% adjustment. So almost 12.5% that year. And then in June of 23, we did 1.5%. And then June of last year, we did 2%. And those were the amounts that were increased in addition to the merit pay.
And just for those at home and for those to understand, talk a little bit about our merit-based pay system.
So we have what we call a performance-based pay system, in which people's pay increases, apart from these market adjustments, are based on their performance. So all of our directors and our managers do an annual performance appraisal of our employees, and based on that performance, they go into basically it's a merit matrix that determines what kind of pay increases they get. That is part base pay and it's part bonus. The bonus part allows for people to still be getting increases, but we don't have the compounding interest effect that we have if you're just giving a 5% every single year to employees. So it's a good mix of base pay and bonus.
And what is the average increase that our employees get?
Sure. So the average increase is probably about a 2.5% merit increase. Obviously, a better performing employee might get a little bit more. A poorer performing employee might get a little bit less or not anything at all. So that ranges from 1% to 5%.
So when we were doing the 1.5 adjustment, a lot were getting a 4% increase.
Correct.
Okay. Can you flip back to the slide that had the cost on it? Thank you. Impact to the budget, $3.4 million annually. That's a significant amount. How are we budget-wise, and what does that look like in regards to budget moving forward?
I'm happy to answer that, but if I may let the finance director answer that.
Do we need to get out the AED machine?
Take her softball. The abacus.
Yes, the abacus.
Take your softball.
As we move through this process, and obviously we had several meetings where we looked at the numbers. And we had time to look at the initial proposal. We had some time, as my dad would say, to sleep on it, crunch some numbers, and I feel very comfortable that we can afford this.
think every one of us up here have said employees are our most precious asset, and that we always want to do what is best for them. So if Rex is telling us that budget-wise, he feels comfortable, for me personally, I'm comfortable with moving forward with this. I know it has taken a while, but I hope people can understand how much effort has gone into looking at each individual job and where it needs to be. So for me, I'm comfortable. What about you guys?
Yeah.
I think it's unique too that what Dave brought up about going ahead and making this active in March. You know, we could sit here and wait for a new budget year, and then the employees lose about 4 or 5 months of added income. So I really appreciate the effort to make sure that they see that this is really trying to take care of them quicker than what it would have been if we waited till the budget year. I know we have, 500 employees or close to it, and so there's a lot of people. You're not always going to make everyone happy, but I've heard a lot of people that work for the town that have come to me personally and thanked us as a body and as a staff for continuing to try to always meet the need of their pay increases. Things cost a lot more now, inflation's higher, and so I think this is just the right thing to do. The minimum is 3%, that's the minimum, right? So there's gonna be people probably get more than that to grade up. And doing that now as opposed to waiting till July, I think it's necessary. So I agree, I think it's a good idea to do it.
I've heard some folks say actions speak louder than words. Well, here's your actions, so I'm not gonna say any other words, but here's the action. I do have a question for Jeff. The document that's in our packet says revised March 2024. I'm assuming that's a typo, and it should
Yes,
say
that would be
2025. So this is the proposed numbers.
Correct.
Is there any way we could get, or I could even, maybe I'm the only one who wants it, but the
Current?
previous one? Yeah, the current one and.
Yeah, I've
so
got a
we can
copy
see
with
the
me, I can leave
change.
it with you.
Yeah, I just want to be able to kind of peruse and see the change.
Yep, I can do that. I can email each one of you that if
That'd
you'd
be
like.
great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for
Yep.
the time you put into doing this. And
Sure.
thank you, Dave, for going forward and making sure that we're addressing not just a small number, but across the board. And I think it's important that we are looking at this from the standpoint of Middle Tennessee and being competitive within our 10 municipality region here.
Got a couple of questions, Mayor. The proposed increases are not grade changes. They're strictly salary changes as it compares to the 10 surrounding areas.
No, some of the positions actually moved in grade because if a position was, I'm gonna use really abstract
Sure.
numbers. If a position was graded like at the midpoint of $5.
Right.
And then this data showed that it was, $8, we needed to move that position into the grade in which it fell because each grade has, is set up so that,
There's a pay range.
yes, there's a range,
Right. They
and then
got-
there's a difference between those
Right,
ranges.
right, okay. Then the second question, where you see general employees, police, and fire, I don't want to call it, the deviation from the three is probably because the fire department has less employees than the police department, or is it that the fire department was more in line than the police department?
The latter would be correct. We
Okay.
found that the fire salaries were generally more in line with the new market
Okay.
outlook.
Okay. And we're moving from the 50 percentile or some medium percentile of the state to an upper percentile of the 10 surrounding areas.
Correct.
Okay.
No, we were at 70th with the entire state. We're moving to 70th with all of Middle Tennessee now. Does that make sense?
You are correct. I think, yes, but when we looked at just our local region, we dropped.
We
to the-
dropped,
Yes.
correct. Yeah. Other questions? Jeff, let's talk a little bit just for
for public to understand, this isn't as if we wait 5 or 10 years to do this type of thing. So let's talk a little bit about what our practice is year after year.
So I look at this every single year, and now that we've got this setup where I've got jobs matched with 10 different cities, it'll be much easier next year, much quicker to be able to determine, okay, how are things looking? Very simple, if a city just says, hey, we're doing 4% across the board of all of our jobs and we're not moving anybody, then I can just adjust my numbers really quickly. But even if they adjust different positions, I've got positions coded so that I can get all that information. And so we'll be able to each year be able to come to you and say, hey, this is where we need to be to stay at this target.
And are we still going to bring in an outside group every 5 years like we've done in the past, or have we made that decision yet?
We have not made that decision yet, but, you know, that's an option. I don't think right now that that's necessary, but it could be in the future.
But it has been what we've been doing in
Yes.
the past. Okay.
Jerry did a little calculation on his phone over here. He took the 3.4 million, divided it by 500 employees. The average is $6,800. So it's a significant contribution to the town.
Jerry's doing some of that advanced math.
There were no variables. No algebra.
Okay. Other comments or questions?
Mayor, if I just make a comment on that, and I appreciate Jeff not going on a limb on that. I think it's important to get that independent analysis on a periodic basis. By no means do I, after seeing the work that Greg has done, Jeff's done, I don't think that there's, I think they did a great job, but that independent analysis periodically is also important.
Great. Okay.
Sorry, I changed your name there.
It's a curse of having two first names.
Okay. Anything else? Thanks.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay. Item 28 is consideration of an ordinance to approve mid-year budget amendments for fiscal year 2025. Rex?
Mayor and council, these are the proposed mid-year budget amendments for fiscal year 2025. The amendments are primarily due to the implementation of the pay plan and under-budgeted items such as a major thoroughfare plan, items budgeted in fiscal year 2024 that arrived in fiscal year 2025, such as the fire department truck and portable radios and the stormwater dump truck. There are replacement of wrecked vehicles for the parks and police department, along with various other projects. And we're asking you to approve these budget amendments.
Questions about these amendments?
Just one question, Rex. Help me understand the increase and decrease. So the increase column, that's additional budgeted items to the annual budget?
Yes.
Okay, and the decrease, well, there's a whole lot
Decrease the
more.
budget if you're not going to use your
Right.
allocated funds,
Right.
then we.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other questions? Okay. Item 29 is consideration of a resolution to request refunds on unclaimed property held by the state of Tennessee. Rex?
Mayor, this is something we do every year. Passing this resolution allows the town to ask the state of Tennessee for a refund. The property is made up of outstanding checks or credit balances on closed utility accounts and vendor accounts that were first held by the town and secondly by the state of Tennessee. In other words, we hold it for a year, we send it to the state, they hold it for their required time frame, and if we pass this resolution, that will allow us to get a refund on unclaimed property.
Okay. Questions for Rex on our yearly ask? Okay. Item 29 is consideration of a resolution to request refunds on unclaimed property held, Item 30, consideration and authorization of a list of items to be auctioned through online surplus sale with GovDeals.
Something we do at least every quarter, and more often than that if there's an accumulation of surplus materials. Attached, you see the list of items that need to be sold at auction. The list includes town vehicles that have been removed from service and office furniture no longer needed. the town seeks permission to conduct an online auction to sell these surplus items. The auction will be advertised in the Murfreesboro Post, on our website, and Channel 3. All the surplus items will be sold through GovDeals, an online auction company. We're asking that you approve this surplus sale.
Jerome, any vehicles you see?
I haven't really looked.
You need that F-450 there.
Yeah, any vintage stuff there? Steve would have beat me to it.
We only had one, and I watched it for years, and it went way too high.
Okay, we will put that on the agenda. And anything tonight under other?
Just one real quick. So it's not on the workshop, but I'd like to put this on the actual agenda for next time, is a roadway project update presentation from Charles. We're gonna be hitting our budget retreat here in April, and I just think it'd be good to give you all a baseline of where we're at with our current project, so we can knock that off the table and just focus in on what we're gonna be doing in future years when we get there.
But you're talking about at the next workshop, or are you talking about at the council meeting?
Just the council meeting, quick presentation
Okay.
on that.
Okay, so at council, okay?
Yep. Mhm.
Okay. Anything else under other?
Do you want to do your emergency purchase? Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Dave. Up at our football field concession stand, we've got a foundation that's failing on one of the load-bearing walls up there. So we brought in USS to give that a look, and they gave us a quote of $16,230 to do the repairs, some pier repair or pier installation. So we're talking to them, want to get that done fairly quickly, and want to make sure the council is aware of it. We have talked to our youth football league, and they're willing to help out up to $5,000 if needed on that project. We would just like to let you guys know kind of what's going on there.
Questions for Mike on this? Mike, while you're up here, anything under, any reports or anything for you?
Thank everybody for all their work at the Volunteer of the Year dinner. Appreciate the people who was able to make it, and the ones that couldn't, we understand, but it was a good time. So we appreciate being able to celebrate. I think it was the year 35, so it was a good one.
Great.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thanks. Scott, anything? Charles? Carl? Jeff? Mitch? Mike? Christie? Tom? Todd? Rex?
Just very briefly, it's budget time. We're crunching numbers. Things are moving along really well. Appreciate all the department heads and employees and assistant town managers and Mr. Santucci working on the budget with us, and we feel good about it.
Great. Heather? Chief? Amber?
Yes, ma'am. I believe I got the census slide back today. Do I? Thought I saw something. Yes. So we're starting something a little different for the month of March with the census. We're gonna start doing a few giveaways. We're gonna be continuing into March, and each Friday in March, we're gonna be giving away two $50 gift cards. So that's 8 opportunities for your name to be drawn and be eligible for that prize. We are going to include everybody that has already responded to the census before we started these giveaways. So working with Sierra today, she's a jack of all trades in Excel, and she's helped me figure out how to randomize the list. So we're going to pull a list of all the names to date. So if you want to be eligible and in that drawing, we would ask that you please jump on or call in. Make sure your name is on that census list so you can get into those giveaways. We're a little over, I think we were at 40,100 when I looked this afternoon. I know the firefighters are still out. They are currently hitting the apartment complexes. They're dividing and conquering on those. So They're leaving door hangers for people that they haven't been able to reach, and we've also got an insert again in this month's rotation of our local utilities customers. And then also we've got some inserts going out in Middle Tennessee Electric. They've reached out and been gracious enough to do a complimentary insert in all of their paper bills as well. So, multiple ways to respond, and now you have the opportunity to also maybe get a little cash out of it. So we just ask you to please respond. That's all I have.
Great. Dave?
Yeah, I've got 2 slides this evening. First one is to make the council and the public aware that we have been recognized by Cigna, who is our healthcare provider, as a healthy workforce. We received the Healthy Workforce designation at the silver level. This is something that we all share in here at the town with the healthy habits of our employees and, of course, the wonderful programs that our HR department puts together to keep us healthy. And I just want to congratulate Jeff and his team, James and Lisa, who are in our wellness division, for the excellent work that they do, and hopefully we can continue that culture of being a healthy work environment. And just this week, I got to go to my first Predators game and want to thank our Honor Guard for inviting me out there with them. They did play the Florida Panthers, and I think I brought some bad juju with me to the arena because the Panthers did beat them 4-1. But it was
no big deal. Everybody beats them.
What's that?
Never mind.
Be kind.
But it was a great honor to be invited by these gentlemen. I want to recognize them: Eric Meyer, Brandon Sasser, Nick Link, Yosef Abed, and Brian Garsnet. So had a great time with them. Got some pictures and video here, and they did a great job. There were some Smyrna folks in the arena who really felt that pride when they saw our fire department honor guard out there on the ice, and none of them slipped.
Did you do fanged fingers? Yeah. You didn't support us, did you?
I kept quiet the whole time. I didn't root for anybody.
Is that it?
That's it.
Jeffrey L.?
Nothing for me.
Gerald?
Yes, I've got a few, but Dave, if you're a true fan, you'll carry catfish in and toss it out on the ice.
That's right.
I saw that. I said,
Yeah.
what is that catfish all about?
None of us actually know.
Just wanted to ask a few questions on, I sent these to Dave about the traffic impact studies along Almaville Road. You know, are they being reviewed by outside source, or what's the status on those? I think there's four of those traffic impact studies.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of those developments that are in development, some form of development review right now. You've got Queen Cliff and Linwood and Briley, I think it's Briley Downs and another one, all kind of collected right there. So we've got the individual traffic studies. We have sent that to an independent traffic consultant to provide us with a proposal for that independent analysis, and we are waiting on that.
Okay, thanks. And then I know the folks came in and talked about Burton Farms. Was that last month? Maybe you can give us an update on that as well.
Yeah, so I did email all of you a couple weeks ago with the efforts that we had out there. Police did an excellent job with traffic enforcement. We added, I believe, a four-way stop at Burton Farms and what would it be, Rimrock, thank you. We also are going to be looking at painting some stop bars as soon as we can get around to that, and that's still on the list of things to do. I know there were some other things that I had on my email I sent to y'all, but I can't remember.
I think there was a big pothole.
Yeah, there was a pothole.
Yeah, yeah. Thank
And
you.
I think quite a few tickets have been written, and I think some to the same family in the same day for speeding or
Yes, that
running
was,
through.
yeah,
Ouch.
So
yeah.
slow down, use the
Yeah.
stop signs.
The other item is, what's the status of the Weekly Homes Hidden Springs I guess, the agreement between the buffer strip between the developer and the existing residents. Do we know where that conversation is, Jeff?
Well, as far as where that conversation is, I know that David Weekly Homes and the residents, I think either Tom or Ms. Santucci can comment as to what's actually physically happened with them. Obviously, there's not going to be like a written agreement. There's not going to be an agreement. Somebody says, okay, stamp, that's it, because that would delegate authority of the planning commission to a third party that we can't do. However, I understand what you're asking. And so I believe that Tom has been working with them. I think it'll be a period of time before we know what the finished product is going to look like, and obviously that will be presented in the plat whenever it does come forward.
To the planning commission?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
But that
yeah.
meeting has to take place first between them.
Well, they have been going back and forth, and the specifics of what they've discussed recently and Tom's visit, Dave may be able to speak better to that.
Sure. So right now, they're not through with the grading. They had indicated to us in previous correspondence, and I'd say them, meaning the developer, indicated to us in previous correspondence that they're hoping to be done with the grading work by mid-February. Some of the winter storms and weather activities that we had has delayed them. They're hoping that they can be complete by the end of March. And as town attorney has indicated, we really have no control over the level of engagement, communication, and cooperation amongst the developer and the residents. Our hopes is obviously that they do come to an agreement of what that buffer will look like, and that will be reflected in the plat. But at the end of the day, a plat will come before the planning commission with some sort of buffer that, again, we hope that they have agreed upon.
Okay, thank you, Dave. And then, I know at one time, you had contacted TDOT about paving the on and off ramps, and you kind of got a schedule that they were going to do it this spring.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if Charles has any additional information related to that at this point.
I've seen it multiple times, but haven't gotten a definite schedule.
Is there a place on TDOT's website when there's things like that on state roads where that citizens can, almost like what we were talking about with the town, so that citizens can go on and place a,
Right, TDOT on their website, you go over to tn.gov/TDOT, and they have report a pothole that you can go on their website and enter that information in.
okay?
Yeah.
Well, and maybe we need to, that's something maybe we can
Yes.
share with our citizens as
website,
well.
yeah.
That we can put it on our website so that citizens know.
Yeah, they're in pretty bad shape, those are. Then, Dave, you gave me the status on the Weekly Lane improvements, that it's under a functional design for Phase 1.
That's correct. Charles might have additional information or updates.
Right, we've completed the functional design all the way from Swan Drive out to the town limits. Currently, we're in Phase 1, which will run from Swan Drive to 8th Avenue. That will be our first section that we're going to construction plans with. And that section will have turn lanes at all the major roads. So it won't be a continuous third lane, it'll be all pavement, but it will be marked as dedicated left turn lanes. And we have also included the new possible EMS station with the forensic center out there that we've updated our plans to take in account that entrance.
What will that new cross-section look like out to the town limits? Will it have,
It'd
because
be
I've heard.
curb and gutter out through the first section, that'll be out to 8th, and then from there, we'll just do major improvements into the big industrial areas for the truck radiuses and add shoulder. So out, but yeah, as you get on further out and then past Huntley, it'll just be doing some shoulder addition out there. That will be the improvements,
Yeah,
but it
I
will
think-
just be adding shoulder to the existing roadway.
That's what I've heard, that because the ditch line is
Right.
fairly close.
Correct.
Okay, thanks, Charles.
Okay.
Then the last thing, we all received email today about court fees and Representative Robert Stevens trying to sponsor a bill but didn't get a Senate co-sponsor, and I'm kind of lost on how that whole process works and do we get a co-sponsor? I know, Steve, you replied to his email. So I'm just curious how that whole process works.
Dave, do you want to talk a little bit about how that process came up?
And it's
in your
that
con-
40% fee that goes to the county that I think he's trying to alleviate.
So, yeah, well, I had a great meeting with Representative Stevens a few months ago, introductory meeting, and he talked about a bill that he wanted to bring forward that would, I think it was like reverse and Jeff, you might need to help me out with this, reverse a decision or an agreement between the county and the town many years back for a cost share on some fees that come from the court.
It was actually a court order that was based on a lawsuit that Rutherford County filed against the town for fines and forfeitures, based on Tennessee law that really didn't contemplate as much municipal courts with concurrent jurisdiction. And so it states in the law that these fines and forfeitures shall be forwarded to the county general fund. And so it doesn't mention anything about the cities. So in this lawsuit, there was an agreement before most of us. They came to an agreement to settle that lawsuit that if the court in the future would provide a 60-40 split of those fines and forfeitures. So the only way to change that would be if state law nullified that.
So the bill that he's proposed didn't have a Senate sponsor?
No, it didn't capture a Senate sponsor who wanted to sponsor that particular bill, so it will die.
So, and I guess, is that up to us to find a sponsor if we're in favor of that bill? Is it, a lobbying group, or is it up to Representative Stevens?
We've never had it to where we were looking for sponsors for bills.
It was always
It's always the representatives who have done that.
Yeah, and I mean, I said it in my email, but he was also Representative Stevens said that he would not support the bill either, that he would draft it, but we needed to find someone to carry it because he felt like he was too close to the conversation due to his relationship with the judge. So he initially had said he wasn't going to support it either. So the conversation that I know I had with Dave was, if our local representatives aren't going to support it, there's not much point in submitting it, because it's not, if you were on the state house and the people local to that bill didn't support it, and you're out in Knoxville or Memphis, why would you support it? If the
But
local folks
would
aren't?
that be something we would support as a bill?
I mean, obviously, if it puts more money back in the town, of course we would. But I don't think there was much chance of that bill moving forward, because it didn't have any sponsors. As far as I know, no one signed on to sponsor, either in the House or the Senate.
And you have to have a House representative and a Senate representative to actually get that bill even looked at,
To
right?
committee, right.
Right, so that's where it didn't make it that far. In terms of supporting bills or opposing bills, sure, the town can do that. And in fact, I have recently written a letter for our lobbyist who's looking at one of these tort reform bills that I think Mr. Peach is going to bring up later.
Jigsaw?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're helping us out with that particular bill. And Mr. Stevens also has another bill that he did get sponsored, which I thought would be extremely helpful, which would really just kind of, rather than using the census to have to adjust our proportion of tax revenue on what's now a 10-year basis with the census, it would adjust it on an annual basis based off of population estimates. He believes, and I appreciate that he brought that forward. I think that's a really good one.
Yeah.
But I think that has been put in the back of the budget, I think is what they call it. And they've got a cost estimate attached to that of $326,000. But what I will tell you is that $326,000, coming from the state, is not close to a comparison of the costs that municipalities have to do the census.
Right.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, for us, what, 125,000 is what we budgeted for the special census? So I mean, you think if 3 municipalities got together
Yeah.
and put in money of what it's costing us versus what we reap from it, it's a huge difference. So I mean, I hope that it ends up moving forward.
So who would be, just that bill, who would be responsible for, I guess, he would be one sponsor. Would it be up to him to get another?
He's got a
sponsor?
Senate sponsor on it.
Okay.
It's run through committee. I
Okay.
think where it,
But the lobbyist could help on that.
sure.
Yeah, I mean, technically, we all could help, right? We
Yeah.
could call anybody and
Right.
ask them to jump on a bill.
Sponsor it,
But
yeah.
it's just not something, it's not really any one person's responsibility.
Okay.
Normally, I think the sponsor of the bill, the writer of the bill finds their sponsors.
Okay.
And in this case,
He didn't have.
he didn't, he wasn't comfortable sponsoring it in the House, and he didn't have a Senate sponsor.
I see.
So, I mean,
But that
if
doesn't
somebody
mean
had
we
to-
can't do it in the
If we can find
future.
somebody to
Yeah.
cover, to
Right.
carry it, I just don't know that we
Right.
will if the local,
We have another,
Representatives
don't we
aren't-
have another representative?
we do, but my understanding is they're not interested in supporting it either. So, that's kind of the problem. And even if it goes to committee, it goes to local committee, and I
Right,
believe those
right.
same representatives are on the local committee.
Okay.
Dave, in your discussion, was it going to take money away from the county? Was it gonna take that money away from the county, or was it going to, or did you get that far into the discussion?
I don't remember that level of detail about how that would work.
I think what I've read and everything is that there was a part of that bill that would allow the county to increase their fees to make them whole as well.
That's ringing a bell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But there
So
was something they had to do?
they'd have to support the bill and the county.
Jeff, what were you gonna say?
I was going to say, no, that would be correct. Those funds that come from the Smyrna cases, the limited amount of forfeitures and fines, would not go to the county anymore. So as Councilman Dempsey said, I haven't seen that part of it, but makes sense. I guess they would allow them, basically like a litigation tax or those types of things, they would allow them to charge more fines and forfeitures to make up for that difference, which don't believe it would be that great of amount for the county with the number of cases that they see.
Well, I guess if it was gonna make the county whole, I don't understand why our legislators wouldn't support it. So hopefully maybe Representative Stevens can find somebody that will sponsor the bill, and then our county delegation can get behind it, because I don't disagree with what Steve said. If our county delegation can't get behind it and it affects our county, then why would another group of delegates get behind it?
Yeah.
So maybe he
You
can
know, I
get
think
it.
sometimes you look at a bill like that and it affects so few people or so few areas of the state that, you know, some of the representatives just don't take any interest in it. And then other situations where they don't take any interest in it, but they just let it go through.
Yeah, I think that this
In my
would only.
opinion, this whole thing is somewhat laughable because, you know, nobody wants to get behind it. A lot of times when a bill comes up and, you know, you have a representative that doesn't want to actually carry it himself, then the rest of them are not going to carry it either. They're not going to step up. And, you know, where does that come from? Is it a lack of respect for that representative? Is it a simple lack of respect for the bill? I don't know. I don't know.
Well, hopefully maybe it can find
Well,
sponsors.
I think to your point, the bill would only affect those courts that have both jurisdictions or has concurrent general sessions jurisdiction. And there's only, how many outside of like the main cities? There's only a few in the state.
Like 23.
Right, but that includes the Nashville and Memphis and Knoxville, which are metropolitans and, you know, larger counties. So that includes the ones that have to carry it, right?
I would imagine the paradox with the legislators would be the county governments and the city governments are both part of their constituency. And so, you know, they may receive a little bit of heat from those county governments because they may be losing some of those funds and this, you know, vice versa.
Now, if you, yeah.
But if they're gonna make them whole with allowing for the
Right.
tax,
But
then
I'm just saying-
hopefully, right, then
It's a
hopefully they
win-win.
might
They may not be
consider it.
aware of all of that, I'm just saying that may be
Absolutely.
Right.
what
Absolutely.
I'm guessing might be.
But I can agree that if they thought it was taking money away from one, I can understand why they would have a hard time
Yeah, if
supporting
it
that.
could save us money and also make the county whole, then it seems like it'd be a win-win.
Yeah.
Okay, one more thing. Senior Citizens has a capital campaign going on, and I think they're even letting you, to your donations, letting you stretch it over 3 years. So I've turned mine in, and I'll challenge the rest of us up here to turn theirs in. Then I get to read this, I guess. The VITA. Then if you turn your donation in, you get a tax write-off. Don't pay to file your taxes. United Way of Rutherford and Canning County's Volunteer Income Tax Assistance VITA program is now available in Smyrna from January 31st through April 12th at Smyrna Town Hall. And I guess that's in the back, correct?
Yeah.
And the VITA offers free in-person appointments to individuals and families who earn less than $80,000 in 2024. And some statistics during 2024 tax season, United Way completed the following through this VITA: 1,634 returns e-filed, 1,752,000 in tax refunds, 522,000 in saved tax prep fees. 39 volunteers gave 2,100 hours. Over the last 6 years, United Way of Rutherford and Canning County's VITA program served over 9,000 clients for nearly $11 million in refunds to our communities. www.yourlocaluw.org/VITA. Thank you.
Anything else?
Nope, thanks.
Rocket?
Thanks for being patient.
There are a couple of slides. Okay, Smyrna Park seasonal job openings. Seasonal positions are now open. We offer training and certification on site. Please follow the link to apply, www.townofsmyrna.org. All right.
Yes.
Then the next slide, thank you to Channel 2 News for highlighting the Rosenwald School, featuring Smyrna resident and former Rosenwald student, Mrs. Marion Appleton, and the Smyrna Parks and Recreation Director, Mr. Mike Moss. This was a feature on Channel 2 News for a part of their Black History recognition this month. So thank you both for participating.
Do we know if that's actually the Smyrna Rosenwald School in that picture?
That is the,
Ms. Thea? It is? Sorry to interrupt.
no, I didn't know if you had a follow-up comment or statement. All right, and lastly, the Smyrna Police Department participated in a career fair for Rutherford County High School students at Patterson Park Community Center last Sunday for the Rutherford County Leadership Academy with the M.L. King Scholarship Fund. So I would like to thank the police department for their participation. And we also had another local citizen, Miss Carmen Talbert, who is a resident here in Smyrna, and she is an engineer and brought an engineer friend from Middle Tennessee Electric. And so I wanted to thank them for participating in the career fair as well. And that's all I have.
Jerome, were you at that
I missed that.
engineer fair?
I know.
It was a career fair, but there were engineers there,
Yeah.
not just an engineer fair.
Yeah.
Maybe they let you blow the whistle.
Well, I've been confused about driving a train.
You need a little conductor.
HG?
First off, I lost a good friend earlier this week. Jay Wise passed away on Monday. I send condolences to his wife, Shauna, their kids, and his mother and father. Also, we have Archie's Promise. Smyrna Town Hall, the Smyrna Justice Center, and the Smyrna Outdoor Adventure Center will serve as collection sites for items for Archie's Promise. For several years, Archie's Promise has partnered with Rutherford County Schools to provide personal hygiene vending machines and supplies for students. Most of the vending machines contain travel-sized toiletries that are offered free to Rutherford County students. Currently, there are 8 vending machines located throughout Rutherford County, including one at Smyrna Middle School. Schools are selected for this program based on requests from principals, and the machines are placed in discrete areas within the administrative offices to ensure student privacy. You can learn more about this by visiting www.rcschools.net. But you can see that, they'll take donations, and it's actually, I looked it up, and it's actually a little wider scope than just the toiletries and such as that. So you might do some research, but it looks like it's probably a pretty good place to donate to. I didn't get a flyer on Love Where You Live, but we should. I got a email this afternoon from Mr. Tony Proctor, who had picked up 3 bags out on, what is the name of that street?
Seven Oaks.
Yes.
Seven Oaks, yes, Seven Oaks. And he would like just a wave is what he's looking for, his payment for picking up trash out there. Now, let's move right on to our bond with Mr. Rex over there to buy local so that we keep our property taxes low. That's all I've got for tonight, ma'am.
Great.
I have a question, though, based on Mr. Proctor having to pick up 3 bags. Do we have extra or more surveillance of police in that area since he's having to do this so much?
We have actually, Dave has been working with Chief because he has made a comment that there's been quite a few alcoholic
Right.
beverages,
containers.
containers that are picked up. And so I think they're working with the police department out in that area to do a little more patrolling. And
Okay.
I think Andy's been looking at some stuff too, so.
Okay.
Mr. Proctor said you could meet your quota real soon.
Yes, very quickly, yeah. So, Jerry?
I think I have a slide. Yeah, this Saturday night at the Senior Activity Center, March the 1st from 5 to 7, the Smyrna Sister City Exchange Program is having a chili supper. The kids, young men and women that are going to be going to Japan here in July is doing a fundraiser, and I'm telling you, they have really done a lot of work, and so far have gotten a lot of sponsors, and I know quite a few in here are sponsors, and I just want to say thank you to you and all those others that have. And there's going to also be a silent auction, and all this money, like I said, is going to go to for the young men and women to go to Japan, and that will be in July. So if you get a chance, please come by. You can actually get tickets at the door. And we ordered extra chili the other day because of all the sponsors that we got. So I think we're going to have a lot of people be there. So if you get a chance, come by and probably get some good prices on some silent auction items as well. So hope to see you there. So.
Thanks, Sherry. Steve?
First, I want to extend my condolences to the Hancock family. Gail Hancock passed away on the 19th. If you attended Smyrna Elementary from 1986 to 2016, then you probably know Miss Gail. She worked there for 30 years and retired in 16. Very, just a sweet personality, a sweet lady. So our condolences to her family, Wayne and little Wayne and Teresa, and grandkids. She'd had a couple years with cancer.
Year and a half or so.
Yeah, about 2 years with cancer. So condolences to Hancock family. And I also have a slide. our Jeff Coos Scholarship Program. The Coos Scholarship's accepting applications through March 14th. This program offers educational opportunities to deserving high school seniors who exhibit exceptional academic abilities, leadership qualities, citizenship, and character, including participation in school and community activities. To be eligible to apply for the scholarship, the applicant must be a current high school senior who intends to enroll in a program of post-secondary education within 1 year of graduation, and either a current resident of Smyrna or currently enrolled in a high school that is physically located in the town of Smyrna. For more information, you can apply at the town's website at townofsmyrna.org. Again, the application deadline is Friday, March 14th, 2025, and on the screen is a QR code that you can also click. That's all I've got.
Mark?
I'll have a couple slides as well.
Already did that one.
We already did that one. Oh, we just did that one. Okay, here we go. Business at its Best luncheon was held on Monday to honor former county mayor Ernest Burgess, and some of us had the opportunity to go and attend the lunch and celebrate with the past mayor. Business Person of the Year was what he won, and you know, many of you know he was county mayor for a long, long time. So congratulations to Mayor Burgess. Dave, Jeff, Rex, appreciate you guys doing all this work on our employees. We appreciate that. Rex, to you, I appreciate how you watch the money. I know you're not easy to get money from, and that's good. But to be able to stand up here and say, I'm comfortable and we can afford to do this, that's music to our ears. We appreciate all that effort. So, Chief Irvin had a couple officers pinned this past week, and they were Officers Jonathan Wilkins and Seth Reeves. So we want to congratulate them on being able to go out into the world on our police force and continue to serve our public. You mentioned Gail Hancock. I had that down. Steve's wife, Pam, and my wife, Connie, all worked at Smyrna Elementary School with Gail, and that's how they become friends and dinner club associates and all that kind of stuff. So our condolences to Wayne and the family. Also, Mike Moss, you used to have Kay Arnold working with you back there at the Parks and Rec. She retired last year, but she lost her mom, so we want to send our condolences to her. And I think you're probably going to talk about this one, but I just want to give my personal heartfelt congratulations to Gene Hardiman, and I'll let you fill the public in on what about. That's all I have.
Nope, you have one more.
I do? I got another slide, sorry. Congratulations to 76 fence ribbon cutting that we did Tuesday, I think. Yeah. Dave was there, Todd was there, and that is a new fence company. They're located just off Murfreesboro Road. They're out as you're leaving town going towards Murfreesboro. There's a business complex there. Super nice people. They'd love to have your fence business.
Great. Okay, Volunteer of the Year. It is our yearly event, and the Town of Smyrna and Parks and Rec Department celebrated Mr. Gene Hardiman, a faithful servant whose lifetime of service and dedication to our community was on full display Friday night. He is a military veteran who joined the United States Army at 17 years of age and served for 3 years before joining the Air Force, where he spent the next 24 years of his military career. His lengthy military career, he served in 3 major wars, has served in many civic and nonprofit organizations in multiple capacities. He served as a Mason, a Shriner, a devoted member of the Smyrna Lions Club, which he has been a member for 50 years. He is definitely the spirit of the town of Smyrna, and his impact will be felt for years to come. The Town of Smyrna Young Leader Award recognized an outstanding leadership, community service, and volunteer spirit, was accompanied by a $1,000 scholarship, $500 from SIMA and $500 from adult softball. And receiving the award this year was Jocelyn Payne, who's a senior at Smyrna High School. She's very involved. She served in multiple clubs and organizations throughout the school and outside of school. She's a member of the Beta Club, Science Olympiad, Student Council, Youth and Government French Club, FCCLA, Leo Club, and the National Honor Society. And she has devoted a large part of her high school years to serving the Smyrna community with a very high level of integrity. There were multiple award winners from the individual leagues, and I think, Mike, we've put those all out on social media with names and pictures. So we just want to say congratulations to all of the award winners. There is no way that our leagues would be as successful as they are without these individuals, so we appreciate them. We want to tell everyone to mark your calendars for the 6th annual Top Gun Night Run Race, which will be held on Friday, September 12th at 7:30. We are making year number 6 very memorable. I will tell you, there will be lots of surprises that night, and we encourage you to get signed up early because we do think it will sell out quickly this year. So, council, anything else? Nope, then we are adjourned.